the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. This is from Jeremiah 50 verse 33. But what I'll do is well, before I go into that, what I'll do is you see the image before you. These are Haitians, which are the tribe of Levi. And then if you look to the far left and the far right of your screen, you will see Mexicans, or so-called Mexicans, which is the tribe of Issachar. So you have these Haitian migrants which are in Mexico, and they're catching hell, and they're on the food line, getting food, because you got Mexican people helping them, showing them love. Anyway, the name of the video is Mexicans Respond to Haitians, Africans with, you notice how they throw in the word Africans. All they had to do is say it. You don't have to say Haitian, Africans. When you say Haitian, we know that it's talking about the brown people of Haiti. But they had to put in Africans to keep that line going. So let me read it again. It said Mexicans respond to Haitians, Africans with unusual hospitality. They showed them love, because they don't know that they're the same people, but in the spirit they know. The spirit witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. So there's a kindred coming together. It's a spiritual join together. You got this guy Fopi talking about the Latin tribes and not the Israelites. Man, it's when you watch this here video, and I'll put the link in the description box. Man, them Issacharites are catching more hell than Jake. Man, I went down to Mexico, man. Mexicans, so you got some of them that are doing fairly well. Some of them in the middle. You got a lot of taxi drivers. You got people that work in factories, and then you got some of them. And then when you go down to Mexico, you see the ones that are on the top are the ones that look like Edomites, which those are the Edomites. And then you have like the Latino, Indio looking ones, and then every once in a while you'll see actually Issacharites with afros. They'll have like the features of Issachar, but they'll have a straight up afro. There was a famous boxer, which when I was boxing at that time, my favorite boxer at that time was Salvador Sanchez. Now, if you put up a picture of Salvador Sanchez, which I may do anyway, if you put up a picture of him, he's Issacharite, but he got a full afro. I mean, he died in a major car accident years ago. But at that particular time when I was fighting, that was my favorite fighter, man. Over Marvin Hagler, over Tommy Hearns, over Sugar Ray Leonard. That was my favorite fighter. Anyway, let me go ahead and read the scriptures. So these people down here, these Indio looking people, these are the tribe of Issachar. Those Latin tribes all throughout Central and South America, those are the rest of the Israelites that got over here before us. Anyway, let me just go into the scripture. Jeremiah 50 verse 31, and we're going to read now. It said, behold, I am against thee. Oh, and you got to watch this video too. You got to watch the video, and you can see the love, of these Mexican people for these Haitian people, because like I said, they don't know that they're the Israelites, but there's a kindred spirit there. It says, behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, and we know who that's talking about, saith the Lord, power of hosts, for thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. Now that happened to Israel and it's getting ready to happen to Esau. See, we were on top at one time. As a matter of fact, Esau were our slaves during the time of King David and King Solomon. So, the Most High visited us and, brought us down to a lower state. And now it's getting ready to happen to Esau. He's getting ready to go into slavery, although he doesn't want to face it. It says, 32nd verse, and the most proud shall stumble and fall. And that's you Edomites. The most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall rise him up. So once you completely go down, and you're going to completely go down when the Most High causes the biggest sacrifice or burnt sacrifice in the history of mankind, which the altar is a miracle. I always say that. Pretty soon it'll start catching on, because this is when you really look, when you open your eyes to these scriptures and why the Most High set this thing up. You got to think of Ezekiel 37. It says, "Stand up before their faces." It's also similarly mentioned in Revelation 11 chapter. We're standing there. This is the Most High's movie. So the Most High said He's going to raise them up out of their graves, and He's going to have them stand up. And when we teach, we stand up. We don't have people sitting down. We stand up and we teach. So that's the spirit, not just on GMS, but all those camps that are teaching about us being Israelites. And when I'm talking about all those camps, I'm talking about mainly the One Westers and the ones that came out of One West and came out of those splinter camps that were set up. If they're carrying around the 12 tribe sign, then there's a good chance that they're teaching the truth. Now, they might go off on a few things like the mark of the beast or other things, but we're basically teaching the same thing. But there's a few things that you got going where you got other camps. Well, that don't mean that don't mean this. So it says, 32nd verse, and the most proud shall stumble and fall. And ultimately, they're going to fall. They're going to fall by way of fire. And the whole world, that's going to be breaking news. Also read Revelation 18 chapter. And Paul Kersey, I'm going to get into Revelation 8 chapter and possibly Revelation 9 chapter, maybe after this one or maybe a little bit later in the day or tomorrow. Hopefully today. It says, and the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall rise him up. Yeah, because once this man goes down, Isaiah the 13th chapter come to mind, Isaiah the 14th chapter come to mind, Isaiah the 14th chapter comes to mind. I'm sorry, Isaiah the 19th chapter comes to mind. There's many scriptures that come to mind. Isaiah 47, it says, and I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah. So what does that mean? The children of Israel and the children of Judah. You had two, when you go back into the history, the kingdom of Israel was cut up, was split into two nations. So you had the kingdom of Judah, which consisted of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And some of the tribes of Israel had came back with the tribe of Judah. That's also scriptural. The children of Israel represent the tribe of Ephraim, the tribe of Issachar, the rest of those tribes, what we call the Latin tribes. It says, 33rd verse again, Jeremiah 50 verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. So just like in Egypt, the Pharaoh refused to let us go, the same thing's going to come here, because they're making money off of us, man. Anyway, it says, you know what I'm going to do? See, the reason why Esau got so many people in the prisons, because the prisons get money from the federal government. These penitentiaries, it's all the whole prison system is a money making, multi-billion-dollar industry. So if you stop committing crimes, they'll write new laws to make it a crime so they can lock your ass up. America's not about trying to heal people, man. They're not trying to rehabilitate people. When you go to the prison system, you don't become, trust me, you do not become rehabilitated. A penitentiary, the word penitentiary, that's where you get the word, what comes out of that word is repent, to be humble again. When you go into the prison system, especially in the federal prison system or the penitentiary, when you come out a harder criminal, because you're around and amongst criminals. This is a fucked up place that we're living in, man. You Jakes always talk about you love your fellow Jake out there. What about Jakes in the prison? What about those Jakes that come out of prison? Are you there to help them? How many homeless people among Jake? And Jake that's doing pretty good, they walk right past a homeless person. They don't give a damn. Now at least us, we'll give them. This sister came up. She looked like she might have been homeless, and she basically asked, "Can I have some money, please?" And we all came out of our pocket. I think I gave her $2 or $3. Apostle Gabar gave her a couple dollars. Apostle Lime Lob and a bishop. Bishop Shakawan, the famous Bishop Shakawan, all right, and he's the top bishop. I'm messing around. Anyway, you got the bishops. He gave a couple of dollars, and altogether she got about almost $8 to $10. And then she said something. She mentioned Israelites. I said, wait a minute. She didn't hear her speak. She just kind of came up. They just kind of know. They get a vibe that these guys are the Israelites. And I guess she kind of looked, I'm kind of reading her mind. She said, those are the Israelites. And we're asking for money, and I believe they'll give me money. And we gave her money, Anyway, damn, where was I going to go? I pulled up this tab. I'm doing so much talking. You know what, let me come back to this, and it'll come back to me. Okay, 33rd verse, Jeremiah 50, verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Yahweh, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all. Oh, it came to mind. It came back to mind, which is Jeremiah 30. Jeremiah 30, verse 7. It says, alas, for that day is a great day, so that none is like it. It's that same day, the destruction of this altar. And America is a great place. America is this great altar that the whole world is going to be talking. Everything is going to stop. This is going to be breaking news when Babylon is completely, utterly destroyed by and that's when that war is going to stop. When that fire hits this altar, that, all bets are off, as they say. It says 7 verse, Jeremiah 30 verse 7, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. So it's gonna come. We're already in the time of Jacob's trouble, and it's gonna get worse. But he shall be saved out of it, and the he that shall be saved out of it are the elect. For 8 verse, for it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke. And we don't have physical yokes on us unless you're in the spirit in the prison system, but you have yokes with your paperwork, your social security number, social security card, your birth certificate, your different various adhesion adhesion contracts, which is an application like you want to drive a car and you go to get a license. They give you an application, but it's really a contract. It's really an adhesion contract. And they tell you at the end of the contract, when you sign your name, as Tyson said, sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract. That a contract binds you to something. And they tell you, I don't know about all the states, but I know in New York it says, once you sign your name, you are bound by all the laws of the vehicle and traffic law, the VTL. It says, for it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will so bust up all these contracts. Because when you get beamed up, they're not going to have any records of your contracts, because this place is going to be burnt up, and will burst thy bonds. And not your bonds are physical bonds, and you're physically here, right? And your adhesion bonds. And strangers, which are the other nations led by Esau, shall no more serve themselves of him. They're not going to be up over you. They're not going to make money off of you. Like I said, the prison says they don't want people to repent. They're not, the wardens are not hoping that people, like you go to these rural areas with these Edomites, that there's no jobs out there. Where they set them prisons up? They set them up so they can have good jobs and get good benefits. So that's the last thing they want to happen, for Jake to stop doing. They want Jake to do crime so they can lock him up in the penitentiary. It says 9th verse, but they shall serve Yahweh their power and David their king, because the actual King David will rise up again, and he will sit on his throne again, along with other kings. So it's going to be king number 1. I'm talking about physical kings on the earth. David's going to be king number 1. Then you're going to have king number 2, king number 3, king number 4, king number 5, all the way down to the lowest Israelite man, which he's going to be a king. He's going to have a crown on his head. And so, but they shall serve Yahweh the Most High, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. So the Lord is going to raise up King David. Therefore, and this is something that the Christian community they don't understand the concept of Christianity. Is that therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob. Now Jacob is referring to all the tribes. Saith Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Yasha'Allah Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, because we're scattered all over the place. We're scattered on the western side of the world, the western hemisphere. It's North, Central, and South America, and we're literally scattered all throughout the whole planet Earth. And thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob, which is Israel, shall return and shall be in rest. That's the kingdom. We're going to truly rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, saith Yahweh, to save thee. And that's why you got this Rabbi Cooper, I believe his name is, and they sent him to straighten out this guy Nick Cannon. Which, I mean, I'm not really mad at Nick Cannon, because he tried to get bold, but that's not his job. That's why they put his ass back in place, because he's not a prophet. He wants to keep getting them bags. So this guy got, looking down at like that was his show. That was Rabbi Cooper's class. You know what I'm saying? He said, we got to straighten this nigga out. We got to re-educate this nigga. That's how they looked at you, man. And you complied 100% because you're not a prophet. You just a guy that knows you're an Israelite. That's it. So, and then, it shows that those are not the people. They got to keep that lie going, that they're the people. And they're just not the people. Are they Semitic? Oh, absolutely. Are we anti-Semitic? No, because we're Semitic. How can we be anti-Semitic when we're Semitic ourselves? 11th verse, Jeremiah 30, verse 11. For I am with thee, saith Yahweh, to save thee, although I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee, because we were literally scattered throughout all nations. Yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure. And we're being corrected. If you go back 100 some odd years, we were in hardcore slavery, man. When you were living in slave quarters, and you had to get up, work all day. They feed you a little bit of something. They didn't feed you because they cared for you. They feed you so you can keep working, and then let you sleep so you can get rest so you can work the next day, and you wasn't getting no paycheck at the end of the week. And then even in this society, Jake get these little meager paychecks. It says, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished, because the Most High is going to save us. And our enemies is going to behold us being beamed up. There's going to be a spectacular way that we, the elect, are going to be delivered. So now let me come back to... hey, some of you Israelite brothers out there are getting weak. Ain't no time to get weak, man. We in the home stretch. That's when you kick in your heels, so to speak. It says 33rd verse, Jeremiah 50 verse 33. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah are pressed together. And now when you go to any hood, what you going to see in the hood? You're going to see Jake. You're going to see some Benjamin. You're going to see Ephraim. You're going to see Simeon. You're going to see Issachar. You're going to see Ecuadorians. They all wind up in the hood. But then there's certain sections of the hood, like in Harlem. You got so-called black Harlem, then you got Spanish Harlem. And then when you go to Harlem in the hood, you got Issacharites out there working. You got Ephraim walking around, driving around, doing what they do. And then you got Judah, you got Benjamin. The tribe, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. And all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go. So when the Lord comes back to redeem the elect, when Esau going to fight against them with the U.S. Space Force, they're really fighting to keep us down here, to keep us in the prison system, man. It said their Redeemer is strong. Our Redeemer is Yahushai, not Yahweh. Yahweh of hosts is his name. He ultimately, the Redeemer is Yahweh, but he's going to send his son down to deliver us. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land of Israel, and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. Now you have scholars that read this, biblical scholars that read this, and they'll say, oh, it's talking about ancient Babylon. It has nothing to do with now. This already happened. Nope. Because Judah, how do we know? When you go back to the 33rd verse, it says, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. We're being oppressed over here. Ancient Babylon, the children of Judah, or the kingdom of Judah, was oppressed. And the children, or the kingdom of Israel, was already taken down by the Assyrians, man. Anyway, so with that, I'm gonna move on to the next one. Shalom.